Alexa, open Positive Prayer. You can ask for a specific prayer on topics like healing, prosperity, and comfort. Give it a try today.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Welcome to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Learn the language of spirit. This is The Intuitive Life with Laura Wooster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Intuitive Life, where we walk together and support each other on the path to becoming more spiritually aware, enlightened, and inspired. My name is Laura Wooster, and I will be taking your calls today for questions or readings, whichever one you prefer. And that's 816-251-3555. Again, it's 816-251-3555. And again, those readings, the calls can be for readings or for questions that you may have about anything, or perhaps you'll have a question about the topic I have today. But before I get to the topic at hand, I'd like to just mention a few things I have coming up on my calendar. On June 11th, which isn't too far away, I'm offering an online evening of mediumship, Heavenly Connections, an evening of mediumship with Laura Wooster, Deanna Fitzpatrick, and Laurie Sheridan. And like I've said before, we're not going to do too many of these going forward online. We're going to start doing more things in person as the months go on here. So not that we're going to completely not do any online mediumship demonstrations going forward, but we're just not going to do as many. So if you're in an area where these things aren't very common and you're not able to get to experience what it's like to see mediumship communication live, just check out my website. It's laurawooster.com, and look for Heavenly Connections, an evening of mediumship on June 11th, and that's presented by Circles of Wisdom. And also, if you're in the New England area, I've got two things coming up. Then I don't believe the registration's not open yet, but just put it on your calendar because it will be soon. Soul and Spirit, an evening of mediumship, and that will be in person, live, about 100 people at Circles of Wisdom in Methuen, Massachusetts, and that's on September 10th, and that's my first, I believe, in person. Yay, cannot wait to see everybody's smiling faces. Hopefully without masks at some point so we can see all your beautiful smiles. That would be so wonderful. And also, if you're in the New England area as well, I'm offering a class called, oddly enough, just the same as my program here, The Intuitive Life, a beginner psychic development workshop. It's an all-day workshop on September 19th, and again, that's also at Circles of Wisdom in Methuen, Mass. And both of those events in September will be on sale soon. But you can always go to my website and sign up for my email newsletter to be informed when things come on open for registration. You just go to my website at laurawooster.com. Alrighty, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today was, how do you live a more intuitive life? Okay, and does it mean you have to be psychic? Not necessarily. Actually, I believe we're all psychic. I think we're born that way. As human beings, we are all intuitive. But we do, over time, as people influence us, our families of origins, our friends, our family, society, inadvertently sometimes too, will prompt us to sort of submerge that awareness of our intuition and our psychic abilities. And we start to doubt what we feel is true. And because people will tell us, well, that's not true. This is better for you. That's not so good. Do this, do that. And it just comes with human nature of being led by other people. And of course, as children, we are oftentimes led by other people or influenced by people in some way, good or bad. And so we have to sometimes relearn to trust our own intuition. And, it's a lucky child whose parents will encourage that, to express what they feel is true in spite of what the world tells them is not true. I think it's wonderful to have parents who would do that. A lot of times parents just don't have that awareness to be able to do that until later on. So we oftentimes have to find our way back to that. And clients will come in, and I don't think anybody's looking for a fortune teller oftentimes when they come to see me. They're looking more for validation. that what they feel is true for them is actually true. Like they just don't trust the intuition enough. And we all have that natural instinct, okay? And I think instinct and intuition can be very separate, but there's also an overlap there as well, okay? So sometimes we won't get into that today, but there's an instinctual intuition that we all have, okay? And our bodies will often tell us before we even know logically that something isn't right for us or something is good for us. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to share 3 tips to help you get more in tune with your intuitive side, or at least feel like you have more confidence when it comes to that. Okay? Because I really do. So many people, they just really truly deny what they know is true, and they go on, they talk themselves out of it. They come to someone like me and I say, you're right. You should do that, or you shouldn't do this, or what you're feeling is true. They go, oh my God, I know. It's like, oh my, I've said this before. I know this sounds crazy because this is the way we do, but I'd love to get to a point where all my clients are so tuned in to their own sense of self and their own intuition that they don't have to come to me for that validation anymore. It would be wonderful. And if that happens, all the power to you guys. That would be fabulous. And then I'd be able to work, but that's okay. Because that's not the important thing. The more important thing is that people trust what they know to be true on a very intuitive level. So I've got many, many tips. I've got like pages and pages of tips that I can offer people, but I picked 3 and for today to share. And the reason why I picked these 3 is because there's one that you can put into practice right away that inevitably will work for most people. And there's another one that you can gradually put into practice. And as you get more confident with it, then you get better. Okay, and it may take years, but it's great to put this awareness into practice. And the other one is just something fun that you can do every day or on a frequent basis to turn up your intuition. So I want to give you all 3 of those pieces, and just take one if you can and put it into practice and see what happens. Okay, and I'd love to hear how this works for you. So one of the really simple things to do is, if you have something that you're thinking of doing, and maybe something's been nagging you, and you're like, should I do this? Should I do that? There's one question you can ask yourself, and you get an immediate answer. And I did this with a client a couple of weeks ago. I had someone who was on a session with me, and they said, I'm really here. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know whether to go this way or that way. And the nature of the question isn't important. It's more of just this way or that. So I asked her, I said, well, imagine if you actually went forward with this. And how does that feel in your solar plexus, in your gut? And she said, my stomach feels really hard. It feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel good. It feels very tight. And I said, okay, now imagine going the other way and making the different choice. And she said, I just feel so relieved. And it literally took seconds for her to feel that. And so she was looking for that validation from me. All I did was turn it back on her to get that information for herself. And our bodies know intuitively what's right for us and what isn't. And we really do need to trust that. And oftentimes you'll find if you have that, if you feel like if you imagine going into that one direction, and your solar plexus just feels like really tight and it feels very uncomfortable, you'll find that you're trying to think into the answer, and that's not going to work. You have to feel it. And when you feel it, then you know that that's not the case. Now, if she asked that same question months from now, it may be different. She may have a different response in her body. That solar plexus, the tightness in her belly and her solar plexus might actually ease up a little bit if she asked that question at a later date. Or she might get butterflies in her stomach, and it feels like, ooh, that could be an interesting way to go. But it might mean that the circumstances have changed, or it's a better time for her to make that decision, or she may never experience that a difference in that response at all. But the thing is, tuned into that now, so she can continue to ask that question if she feels like maybe it's time to make a different choice. So try that. Next time you're kind of stuck and you're kind of in your head about a decision, ask yourself, imagine yourself making one decision going one way, and what does your solar plexus tell you? And then imagine it the other way. Now, you might be somewhere in the middle with this, but it might mean that you need more information, and that's not a bad place to be. And that's actually good information to come back, that, to receive that information back from that response, that you just need more information. And then you just know you just don't make any choices at that point. That's not such a bad thing either. So that's one way to trust your intuition, because your body is really tuned in, I'm telling you, so trust it. And as I said, instinct. Another thing I found that's very helpful with building my psychic abilities and my inner voice is using your voice. Okay, so our voice, our communication, the way when we communicate, we're actually utilizing our throat chakra, right? And our throat chakra is related to our clairaudience. Now, clairaudience, we all have clairaudience, I believe, for the most part. I haven't really met anybody who hasn't had some form of clairaudience. For some of us, it may be stronger than others. We just pay attention to it more. But clairaudience is that the voice in your mind. Okay, it sounds like your own mind's voice a lot of times. That's the subjective audience. And that mind's voice will oftentimes give us information, right? So, there is objective clairaudience, but that's a totally different thing. But most of the time, we all experience that inner voice, that thing that sounds like we're talking to ourselves, and we say, I wonder why I'm this. I'm like, are you thinking that, or are you receiving it? So the way to really build your clairaudience is by working your throat chakra, and that's by singing and talking and using your voice. And I will tell you that, people that know me, well, the people that really, really know me know that I have a voice. But when they first all met me, they probably would tell you. Anybody who would, if they think back when they first met me, they say, oh my God, she's so quiet. She never said the word. I'm one of those people, I don't feel like I need to infringe on people's space with my voice if I don't need to. It's one of those things I just don't. But as if I get to know somebody, you can't shut me up. But what I find is that when I'm really tuned into spirit, when I'm really tuned into the work that I'm doing, I'm really tuned into somebody and I'm working with them intuitively, that my voice actually gets stronger. And also the information that's flowing through me actually gets stronger. So I know that that's my clairaudience, okay? So what you can do to strengthen up, it's like using a muscle, strengthening up that inner voice, that's that clairaudient voice that you can receive that information from, is to use your voice. And you could be singing in the car to the radio. You could be singing in the shower. You could, if you enjoy chanting, like there's that call and response chanting, like someone like Krishna Das. That's a great way to work your throat chakra. Anything where you're using your voice is really, really helpful to tuning up your throat chakra. And so you can do that in your car, like I said. You can do it in the shower. I find that the more work I do, the more I hum a lot, and so a lot of times I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm just humming while I'm like washing the dishes or walking around doing the laundry, and I feel like it's just unconsciously tuning up my clairaudience. So if you find that you're holding your voice, you're not saying what you need to say, you don't have opportunities to use your voice, find ways to do that. Okay? And that will help you with your own inner voice so you can hear it better and you can strengthen it and it be clearer for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be speaking, although speaking is the best. I see auras with people a lot when I'm working with them. And I will see the colors, the beautiful blue of the throat chakra around people who aren't necessarily talkers, but they're really good communicators, maybe written word. So they may not be in meetings all the time, but they may actually be writing manuals for for a company. They have to get their point across. They have to get information across. There's something that could be anything like that. If you don't feel comfortable using your voice, or you're not in a place where you can do that, at least put your pen to paper at some point and just let your words flow in some way. Even if you have to like copy over words from something just to get into the flow of it, into the words, and to feel the words as you're writing them, or typing them, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, that can open the door to strengthening your clairaudience as well. You don't necessarily have to be speaking, because you're still using your mind's voice with that. So that's, again, so if you don't feel comfortable hearing your own voice, it's funny, I just heard someone the other day, I don't like my own voice, and they were complaining about it. And so if that bothers you, until you learn to love your own voice, try writing, try typing, anything like that, or humming along to some song, to some music that you love, and that in itself will help that little voice in your mind get tuned up. All right, and that's something you can practice every day. So that's one thing. So singing and asking that question. Or the other thing is more of a way of living. And before I say this, living an intuitive life really is a lifestyle, and it seeps into every part of your life the more you are aware of it. Okay? And when I first started opening, I've always was a very intuitive child. I felt everything. I saw things. I heard things. I felt people's energy. I just had a sense about people even as a young child. And as things started to happen in my life, and I had different experiences, and people would tell me, "Oh, that's not true. What you feel about them is not true. Oh no, they're a nice person," even though I had firsthand experience that someone may not have had my best interest at heart. I had people telling me these things. And that happens to a lot of people as a child. When you said, "Oh no, don't say a word. Shh. No, no, no." You lose your voice, and you stop trusting what you're feeling is true. And so over time, we have to relearn how to see the world. And that's what, at least in my case, that was what happened. When I had back to how this whole opened up for me many years ago, was that I was dealing with postpartum depression and anxiety that just ramped up quite a bit. It kind of snuck up on me, and I was finding ways to deal with that through meditation. And through meditation, I started hearing the spirit speak to me, and so that was clairaudiently, which is what I spoke about. And I had to learn a whole way of seeing myself in the world, because it sort of broke open all these myths that I developed around how the world was, and the things that I kind of put to the side because of what people told me was true and what wasn't true, and what you're feeling is true, la la la. So I had to learn a whole new way of experiencing everything, including my relationships around me, friendships, everything. And that was part of my medium journey, as I became more, as I stepped onto the path of being a medium and an intuitive. So one of the things that I found was really helpful with this was, and I know a lot of you have heard of this book, but The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. So it's one of the four agreements is don't take anything personally. And if you want to live an intuitive life, you kind of have to not take things personally, because it gives you a more objective view on the world by looking at the world that way, instead of taking anything personally. The things that most people do is not because of you. The things that people say, even if you feel wronged by somebody, most likely it's not because of you, that it's more about them. So I would pick up that book, The Four Agreements, and look at it every once in a while. It's a great book just for good life guidance, and it helps by putting that to practice, by not taking anything personally. You look at the world more objectively, so that you can accept what you feel intuitively more easily than letting your own stuff get in the way. And you can really feel if something isn't right for you or not right for you. Like it takes out, oh, that person doesn't like me, um, the stories, the narratives that you come up in your head about, if someone doesn't text you back right away, oh my gosh, they're avoiding me, oh my goodness. All those things that kind of gets in the way of really tuning into what the real story is and the insecurities and things like that. If you can learn not to take things personally, and it's not easy to do all the time, and it is a practice, and for me, it's taken many years. I'm still working on it, but I've gotten so much better at it, that you can actually listen to your own voice and not listen to that voice in your head. I mean, the not the stories, the narrative that tell you that something is true when it isn't. And you actually know, when you have that knowing of what's true and what isn't, okay? And then you can strengthen that muscle. So those are my 3 things that I would give to you to look at. Look at the 4 agreements. Start implementing the practice of that awareness into your life. Also, ask your body, how does it feel about some choice that you have in mind? Let it speak to you, and don't judge it. There's sometimes you may ask that question, say, I want to do this, or I want to do, I am trying to make a decision to go left or right, okay? And you start getting into your head like, well, that feels judgmental. I've had someone actually say that. They said, I don't feel right about this. I don't feel right about this partnership that I have an opportunity to go into, and my solar plexus is telling me a big no. But then they go into their head and they say, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm being judgmental. I said, no, you're not. You have to trust your body that there's information here that you don't know logically, and trust your intuition on that. Okay, that's another reason why the 4 agreements are really good, because you don't go into that space of taking anything personally or control a situation. You can get clear information that way. I love raw intuitive information without all the mess around it. With the mind chatter of what are they going to think about me if I say no to this? All these things that might come in the way of that raw intuitive information. And the more that you can clear that away, the better you'll trust your intuition and what your intuitive sense is trying to tell you. So that's what I would recommend. And I will be sharing more of that as time goes on over the next month. Actually, next month I'm going to share some more tips for you. So make sure you tune in. And I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear what your experience has been about that. Is there times when you put some of these into play and it worked for you? Are you finding that the more you put into practice that your intuition's getting stronger? I'd love to hear if you want to call in and talk about it, great. If you want to email me, go right ahead through my website. I'd love to hear the stories. I just go on my Facebook page. But there's one more thing I'd like to say about that as well, is that, and remember I mentioned before about what prompted my journey here was the anxiety and the depression and the postpartum depression I was dealing with. And I'm not going to diagnose anybody on this or everything, but just in my case here, I intuitively, after the fact, and back into that scenario, that the reason why I was dealing with all of this was because I was ignoring my intuition and I was trusting what other people were saying almost all the time versus what I felt intuitively was true. And it prompted a lot of disappointment. It prompted a lot of anger in myself for allowing myself to be led certain ways. And, it just little things like that. So I'm not saying that that's the cause of depression, but I do think that it can, in some cases, cause anxiety and depression when you're not trusting your own soul's voice, your own intuitive sense, and your body telling that this is right for you and this isn't, or this situation is not clearly not well versus stepping away and sticking in a situation that isn't very good. So I am going to, after the break, I'm going to try something new here too. I've got a deck of angel cards here that I'm going to pull some cards, and I'm going to give you all a message, and we'll just see what comes up. It'll be fun. But also, if you'd like to call in for a reading and get in the queue for that, it's 816-251-3555. Again, it's 816-251-3555. And just another program note as well. Next week we are on holiday break for Memorial Day, to observe Memorial Day here in the States. And then I'll be back the week after that with Ann Hentz, and we'll be talking about the Tarot. If you're interested in the Tarot, I have her on every month, the first Monday of every month. And then the following week I have a special guest as well, John Holland, who will be back on, and we'll be talking about similar topic than what we're talking about today, but I hope you'll join us for that. But put that on your calendar as a reminder every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time to join me here on Unity Radio. And again, if you can go to my website and sign up for my email newsletter, that's laurawooster.com. So I'd love to hear your stories about where you didn't listen to your intuition or where you did, and where you had some success with that. I think that would be an awesome thing to share with everybody here who's listening in. All right, so I'll be back in just a few moments on The Intuitive Life.
Welcome back to The Intuitive Life with Laura Wooster.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Intuitive Life. And I am taking your calls today, 816-251-3555. And before I go to the callers in the queue here, I just pulled a couple of angel cards on. I've been playing these lately, and it's just do this. So I picked 3 cards, and the first card that came up was purpose. And purpose, like a lot of times people really focus on life purpose. Like, what's my purpose? I need to get, they feel like there's they want a plan. They want something to work on and know that they're fulfilling their life purpose. And sometimes I think we overcomplicate that process of uncovering life purpose. Okay. And it's so be careful about trying to connect purpose with work. Sometimes they are connected, but for the most part, you'll find your purpose weave through your whole life. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something where you're earning money or that's connected to your work. I know many people who they go to their job every day and they just know it's a task that they do and they enjoy it and they have a great time, but their purpose they find is really sometimes just the relationships they have with people and how they interact with people and what they prompt with the people around them, whether it be at work or their friends or something. There may be something that they inspire their circle with, people that they connect with, and that's their purpose. It doesn't necessarily have to be a job title or your rec or anything like that. So kind of feeling kind of stuck with trying to figure out what your life's purpose is. Where do you feel most alive? It could just be that moment where you help somebody, you held the door open, whatever. That too. I think for the most part, ultimately, that's what our purpose is in life, anyways. Is that it's to help you're here to help others. That's it. Simple as that. And if something in some way what you're doing is helping others, then there you go. Alrighty. And it's how you live your life. The second card I picked, grace. Okay, it's allowing grace to step in and help you with your life. When opportunities come up and And like, let's say that an opportunity comes up that you're nervous about taking on something new, and but you've been hoping for something, an opportunity or something, but you just don't know what it was. But an opportunity pops up, and often it's life, it's grace showing itself in your life to give you an opportunity to step up and try something new and step out of your comfort zone. And I did that many years ago when I was on this path, and I really didn't know if this was why I should be. Again, I was struggling with my life purpose. I don't know. And I remember saying to Spirit and sitting in prayer and saying, Spirit, if I'm supposed to be doing this work, bring me the opportunities. And no matter how scared I am, and no matter if I feel I'm ready for it, I will say yes. And I allowed grace to take over. And that's what brought me to a lot of things that I'm doing today. So grace. So just allow grace to have its way with you, and with bringing opportunities to you, and putting aside your insecurities, your fear of what people might think of you, anything like that, and allow grace to speak to you. Alrighty. And the third card I picked, simplicity. Simplicity. So a lot of times, try not to overcomplicate things. Sometimes I think people really, really, really overcomplicate life. I'll oftentimes get emails from people who are looking for guidance about, let me see, I'm trying to think of something in particular. They're just looking for like, what do I do? How do I do that? And simply said, just get curious. I think people always look for a process to do things. And they're like, what's the right way to do this? What's the right way to do that? If I want to do this, I'm like, hold on a second. First of all, you're asking the question, so you're very curious. So go find the answer on your own. Don't ask everybody for all the answers. Allow yourself to uncover those answers. Come back to the simplicity of being a student, and in a childlike way. And I'm not saying childish, but childlike. Look at the world in a simple way, in a childlike way, and get curious. Uncover the answers yourself rather than asking somebody else for those. You end up bring the tools that you need to find those answers on your own. So keep it simple. Don't run to everybody asking for guidance about every single move in your life. Get curious. All right. I remember I took some college courses many years ago, and I had a teacher of mine who always said to me, "Why do you never ask questions?" And I purposely didn't, because I remember saying to him, I said, because during a test I can't ask you a question. I need to figure out how to on my own. And he goes, fair answer. So a lot of times, if unless I'm really, really, really stuck, I will literally try to find the answer so that I can learn how to find the answers on my own. So keep it simple. That's what children do. They don't, I mean, yes, they ask a lot of questions of us, but they also get very curious, and they just play, and they figure, okay, if I do this, what's this, how's this, what's going to happen with this? You see them playing with sticks and everything. And like, if I have this, if I see a pond here, and if I float a leaf on it, what's it going to do? And then just watch it happen. Keep it simple and get curious. So those are the cards, and I'm just sort of riffing on that. So anyways, so let's get to the callers already. So Alani. Okay, let's bring Milani on. Hello, Milani.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for calling. What can I help you with today?
So lovely to be on your show, and it feels so good to be around someone that's like me a little bit. I'm in big transition. I'm actually in Santa Monica, California. I was guided to leave Colorado. I'm looking for a place to live. I have a healing arts practice, and I offer some intuitive healing, and I need more clients. I'm just kind of in this big unknown right now, so any guidance you have would be appreciated.
Okay. So you want to grow your practice?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So how long have you had the space that you're in right now?
The living space?
Oh, do you have an office right now that you're working out of, or are you just working from home?
I do long distance healing and Reiki over the phone and spiritual counseling and past life regression. It's all remote.
Oh, wow. Okay, wonderful. Great. So the
Yes.
world is your office. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes. Okay. Well, I will definitely keep in mind that, what we're coming out of here. Okay. So that's going to have some impact on patterns of people searching out this work. People, so in the immediate right now, in the immediate future here, what I'm finding for a lot of people is that people are starting to get back into routines now. So they may not be focused on getting healing work. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that may not be the pattern that's happening at the moment. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Okay. So allow a little bit of time, for this to start to get back into a sense of normalcy where people start searching out this work again. Okay. It just feels like the past 3 weeks, like everybody's sort of just focused on let's get back into gear and reconfiguring their life to go back to what it was. So, but looking forward for you, I mean, you have a clientele. I can see that already, correct? I mean, there is a clientele that you have.
There's 3 clients currently.
Okay. So, but you want to be seen more. What I'm seeing around you, and this is not an indication of your work at all. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. But I see. This came up the other day. It's so funny. I've been seeing a turtle popping up around people occasionally, and what that means is slow and steady wins. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with you is steady, slow growth, and I don't want you to feel because you may not feel like things are growing that quickly, not doing what you need to do, or that your work isn't worth it. Okay, so I just want that in mind already. So right now it's about building awareness about the work that you offer. Okay, so the thing that I'm seeing though with this is that I don't see as I connect with you, I don't feel like there's one thing that is your thing. Like everybody's got their gateway thing that any practitioners, they sort of have, for example, people, I'm just going to put how this worked out for me. I used to just read cards and do intuitive readings. And then the secondary thing was mediumship and energy healing, right? So my main thing was reading cards intuitively, right? So people came to me for that and then discovered the other things beyond that. Now it's switched. I'm getting more medium, intuitive, and that people know me more for the mediumship now. So if you're like, what's your gateway? Like, what is it that people come to you first? Like, what are you known for as the number one thing?
Well, Reiki, although my sessions are more than just Reiki, I'm incorporating some healing techniques from past lives. And my Reiki sessions have turned into, I also offer what I would call spiritual counseling in the beginning, just listening, offering tools, any books that may arise, allowing the client to vent, if you will, before the session. And I'm having really wonderful progress, specifically with one client. She's now dis-ease free in her body after working with me for a year. And I call the sessions Reiki sessions because that word is more known, but they're really intuitive energy healing sessions. Like I said, I'm incorporating some healing techniques from when I remember being on Atlantis.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. So your main thing is healing. No matter what you call it, it's healing. That's your main thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is too, like obviously you've mentioned you're bringing intuitive counseling into this as well. What might, and this is just a thought, knowing a lot of people who do healing work, that some are resistant to thinking to going in for a healing session sometimes because their perception of what healing is, it's not what we think of it as healing, energetically. So then be like, why would I need that? I don't need any healing. I'm good, And so, but there may be guidance that you have to offer them that may have nothing to do with literally Reiki. Okay. So I almost want to get people to know you in a different way outside of Reiki, outside of healing. And not that you don't have that in your toolbox for them, but that you can maybe sometimes start with the intuitive counseling, or you'll just find people come to you for that and not receive Reiki healing from you. Did anybody just ask you did anybody ever ask to come to you just for the counseling and not the healing?
No.
Okay. That might be what's happening here. Sometimes people just want intuitive guidance, but they don't feel like they're ready for the healing, or they don't feel like they need it, or they may not be in the space to think that they even need it at all. So I think if I was to do that, I mean, just looking at my own practice, if I put Reiki first, there's a lot of people I'd never make connections with. And it's not that there's anything wrong with Reiki. It's just that some other people may not have an awareness of what's possible with that, and they might not feel they need it. So is there a way to introduce your intuitive spiritual counseling without the healing aspect of it?
I'm one of those people that are highly sensitive, and I'm not on social media. So I'm leaning on spirit and my guides to bring clients to me. And I know a healer who did that long ago, and he just would get calls out of the blue before social media even, with people saying, I talked to your personal assistant, I'm ready for a healing session, and he didn't have a personal assistant. So that's kind of the realm I'd like to tap into. I literally get physically ill on Facebook and social media, so I do have a business card. All these 3 clients, they're word of mouth. I just need like 5 to 8 clients a week, and I would be golden. Yeah. But I like what you said. And I know, it's fascinating. All of my clients are different, and I have to meet them where they're at. I can't, quote, be woo-woo with one of them, but another one I can be over the top woo-woo. And then the third one, I just have to basically listen and allow him to vent and then go into Reiki. And what I love about this Reiki light healing is it's not even me. It's between the client and their guides and angels, and I call in different archangels and different. I call on Catherine Kuhlman lately. She's been helping me. And that's what I love about this healing is it's not me, it's not the client. It's working on a level that we don't even know about with our mind. It's working on the energy bodies and the chakras. Right. And I love this work so much. I love what you said earlier, like, Great Spirit, if this is my work to do, bring me more clients,
Yeah,
It took me so long to step into this because 11 or 12 years ago when I studied it, it was so woo-woo that I would say the word and people would run. And in the past, several past lives, I was killed as a healer, so I've had to heal some of that before I could really step into it in this life. But I'm ready, and I'm excited, and I love it, and
good.
I love seeing the turnaround and the healing with my clients.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and it just shows that you're in the right space. It means you're on the right path. Obviously, if there's the excitement and you see the progress that your clients are experiencing through your work, and like you said, like the thing that you had mentioned that I had said that rang true to you is that, okay, Spirit, bring me the work, the opportunities. I'm ready, right? Yeah. But there's another thing too. That you can, and I know you mentioned that you don't like social media. I know that, and I completely understand. If I didn't have to be on social media, I wouldn't, because I'm very sensitive to it as well. I have to step off of it a lot because I get it. It's just not the best place. But it's kind of nowadays. It's kind of like it's like the phone book used to be. You kind of have to start somewhere, right? And then gradually the energy builds, okay? So I wouldn't write it off completely, but find a way that you feel comfortable with managing it. Like give yourself, okay, I'm only going to be on Facebook for 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes a week, whatever it is that you feel that you need to do so that your people are aware of you. Okay, it's really important that people are aware of who you are. That's where people go a lot of times, that people gather. It's like, think of them as a gathering places where people get to know who you are. It's a community, right? But just knowing you have full control over what you take in energetically from Facebook or social media and what you experience. You control the experience that you have. You have control over that. And you're coming from a very positive place too. You can also add your positive energy to that platform, whatever platform you choose. So know that you can bring some light to it rather than protecting yourself from what you feel is dark in it. Okay. So think of it that way, even if it's just in small, tiny baby steps, because it really is kind of what you kind of have. It's almost like you used to have to be in the office. But do it on your terms. Do it on your terms. Don't feel like you have to follow other people's lead on how they manage their social media footprint. Okay. Make it yours. Okay. And I know, just let that sit with you. If it doesn't feel right, that's totally cool. But the thing is, like I've heard people say before, I know student mediums who they really, really wanted to be working mediums, and they really, really, really didn't like their day job. And so they said, Spirit's going to provide. I'm going to quit my job and Spirit will provide. And it didn't work out so well because there may be some experiences you need to have in the Muggle world that may not be so maybe not so positive, or maybe you're supposed to be there to maybe lighten up that part of that existence, the social media online existence. So I don't want you to look at it as, I don't want you to look at social media as inherently bad. That it may be something you need to kind of keep your toe in a little bit, knowing that you have full control over what you bring to it and what you absorb from it as well. It might be one of those things you just kind of have to do it in order to make connections with people. You might be surprised by the connections you make.
Okay.
All right. So I don't want you to write it off too much. When we look at something wholeheartedly, 100%, like Spirit will provide, it's like, So a little bit of both, and I do believe that it's funny how sometimes on social media, I've connected with people that I was so blessed to connect with them on social media, and we found each other in the most unusual way through that. Like, how did I find you? How did you pop up in my? And it's just like, oh my God, I'm so glad at you. And it's some of the best connections I've had, and they end up being really nice. So just know that like attracts like, and the people that have really good intentions, for the most part, are going to find you, and they'll get to know you, and they'll feel more comfortable calling you and making that energetic connection with you. If they don't know who you are, it's really hard for them to get to know who you are. All right. And without, some people don't want to just book an appointment with not knowing who you are.
Right.
And social media gives people a chance for you to express that, and in a safe way, so they don't feel like they're stepping in unfamiliar territory. Alrighty. So that might be one place. So I think I think recognizing, I feel like, I just say in the next 5 months or so, I feel slow growth around you with your work and your practice. And it's maybe slowly implementing some small changes. I don't feel like huge changes that you have to make, just small changes. Plus the assistance of COVID moving along in the States here, and just kind of, people not worrying about it so much anymore, and focusing more on maybe getting some work done with you, working on with you energetically. So there's a lot of things happening here. So I feel like you're on the right path with it, and just let more people know about you. All right, and just ask Spirit to bring the people that will benefit the most from your work. and
Okay.
however they come through, whether it be social media, whatever. Okay. Let me just see what else. Are you writing as well? Why do I see you writing around you?
I dream writing. I'm not writing. It's one of my dreams.
You dream about writing?
I mean, it's a dream to write, but I'm not writing.
Okay, okay. All right, because I was just seeing a lot of I was seeing writing being done around you. So I think my sense is that's coming up for you.
Okay.
You're going to feel more inclined to do some writing. Not right away. I'm not saying to jump out and get a notebook and start writing today, but I think you're going to feel like there's more to write about in the next probably the second half of the year here as we go in the end of the second half of the year. Going into the new year. All right. There's just something, I feel like there's more for you that you want to bring forth in words. Okay. So just know that you'll feel that inclination to work more that way towards the end of the year. All right. Let me see what else is coming up around you. There's, you're not a Leo, are you?
No, I'm a double Scorpio Aries moon.
Okay. Do you have a Leo that's close to you?
A boyfriend that's in Morocco that I'm not really sure where we stand. Also my sister's a Leo.
Okay, I'm leaning more towards the relationship here. You're not sure where you stand, huh? You're not in the same place physically?
No, I'm in Santa Monica. He's back in Morocco. He's Muslim. I'm not. I'm older. We're kind of a secret. It's a whole story, but we're definitely soulmates and have had past lives together. But I feel like he might be looking for a wife and doing that tradition to make his mother happy.
Gotcha.
So,
you gotta sort that out.
Yeah.
Sometimes the past life connections aren't the best connections in life, actually. So it really isn't.
Yeah.
So
they're really painful sometimes.
It can be, and it can be very that familiarity can be can be construed as something that happened in this life, and it's not such a healthy thing. So I do think that there's some resolution happening between the two of you in the next few months. So that's what I'm seeing between the two of you. So there's either more there's more of more resolution. You'll understand where it's going more, and then it actually pretty quickly in the next maybe 8 weeks at the most, somewhere around there.
Okay.
All right. So there's definitely resolution there. And the last thing is one last bit of advice in the last 15 seconds of the show. Do you have a website already?
I do.
Okay. I just feel like there's the need I don't know what your website is, but I'm just feeling like the need to sort of tighten up your message on your website. So just take a peek at that.
Okay.
Have a friend look at it. Okay.
Okay.
So I hope that helps
Tighten
in
it
some
up.
way, Lilani. Yeah.
It
just a
does.
wee bit. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you in 2 weeks with Ann Henson. We'll talk about the tarot.
Thanks for listening. This is Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Let go of everyday worries and find your calm with positive prayer from Silent Unity, the newest in voice-activated technology, available on any Alexa-enabled device like the Amazon Echo. Each prayer and meditation on positive prayer will help strengthen, guide, and comfort you. To enable it, just say, "Alexa, open positive prayer." You can ask for a specific prayer on topics like healing, prosperity, and comfort. Give it a try today.